This is James Arnold Taylor, voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Welcome to a more civilized podcast. This is the podcast you're looking for. You may not go about your business. Stay here, listen, and then move along.
Hi, listeners, all of you who are joining us yet again for another week. We appreciate it. We love you. Thanks for being here. I am Kyler.
I'm Chris.
I'm Ross.
And I'm Carrie.
Yay! She even had it on the beat too.
Carrie, high
well
five.
Done.
High five. There it is. Okay. So we've got Carrie here with us because Carrie and Ross went on an adventure. But before we get to the adventure and the recounting thereof, Ross has some news for us.
Yes. What kind of news?
Just regular news, I believe. Regular Star Wars news.
Actually, it is newsy news.
It's so newsy. Right, Carrie?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Carrie, no, don't.
Good. I
Don't give in.
I never even asked if you were Newsy News supporter or not.
I am Team Newsy News.
Are you doing that just because you're married to me?
No, I like the memes.
Okay, good.
See what you've done, Tanner, Steven. Curse both of you.
I think officially we can declare a winner of the great Newsy News meme war, too.
Yeah.
Which obviously was us.
Yeah, it makes me a little bit sad, honestly.
All right, so we finally have news, guys. We finally have
we made
news.
it through that drought. Just barely.
And we have some kind of crazy big bits of news.
Yeah, we do.
So
coming out of that drought like a freaking dam breaking.
Yeah. So the first is, and actually is the most recent breaking, which I find a little bit less relevant now because of its news. There's this whole newsception thing going on. It's about to not be relevant because it is relevant. So, I know. Thank you. You're welcome.
I know what he's talking about.
So, the big thing this week has been Bob Iger is stepping down as the CEO of Disney.
Quietly announced on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, which was real weird.
So, that'll be a week ago by the time this airs.
Yeah. So first of all, we reported on this months ago, months ago, that he was renewing his contract, that he had already gone through several contract lengths.
Was that him or was that Kathleen Kennedy? I thought that was...
Pretty sure it was Iger.
I thought it was Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
Well, because I thought... No, I'm pretty sure
Bob Iger's contract doesn't expire till 2021.
Right. But he has, for some reason, stepped out early. And I don't know. That either means we're going to get some major drama here soon, or something else.
Yeah.
Which we don't really know. Which is going to be interesting.
Maybe he's just tired.
Maybe
it's family issues.
See, well, no, actually, no, that's right. It was Iger that we talked about before, because the reason why he was staying on and they kept renewing his contract was so that he could get through all these mergers.
Edge and the movies and
mergers and Disney
stuff,
Plus and buying Fox and all of that. And so now that all that's done, I could see him calling it early because, I mean, it's all neatly wrapped up. Maybe, or I don't know. It's interesting, and the rumor mills are swirling, so we'll find out what happens there.
I watch drama shows. It's going to be a scandal.
You think it's going to be a scandal?
Yeah.
One that I've heard is that he was friends with Weinstein.
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein. So
that's one of the rumors I heard as well.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Yep.
But the other one is that he's going to run for president. Who knows?
One extreme or the other. Well, that doesn't actually preclude him from running for president. If you think about it. So.
Yep.
Anyway. But that's why it is both relevant and no longer relevant to Star Wars, is because Bob Iger is no longer.
But the bigger and more relevant long-term news
is the announcement and finally details on Project Luminous.
I'm way excited.
So we've been hearing...
I got my wish.
Yes. We've been hearing little bits and pieces of this. There's this project going on called Project Luminous. We've heard it had something to do with authors, but that was all we had up until last week or so, whenever it was.
Beginning of this week. It was Monday.
Beginning of this week? Okay.
Yeah. So a week ago-ish.
9 days ago when this airs.
Yeah. So what this is a large, connected, overarching book set series thing.
Think MCU, but
books.
Books and comics.
Yeah, books, comics.
Yeah.
Eventually movies will tie into this as well.
I'm sure.
One of the articles said.
Did it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It looks a lot like they're just doing the Marvel approach of like, hey, let's run it through the comics first, see what hits, see what sticks, and then go with that.
Well, and I think the first thing coming out was a book, wasn't it? There's something coming out.
There are several books.
August?
There are 3 or 4 books coming out and a comic.
Right.
Let me see if I can find the titles. You keep talking, Ross.
Yeah. So if I remember right, because there are a bunch of different articles that are here all talking about this, but the first thing that's going to be released is going to be a novel sometime this summer, if I remember right. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
But,
all of these are releasing for the first time at Star Wars Celebration, which I will be attending. So I'm going to see if I can't bring back some of this.
Nice. So, for now we're going to get a bunch of new books. I feel like this is trying to get them to kickstart what used to be the old Book EU, where we were having books come out all the time.
Yeah.
Because, and they also listed off the authors. Most notable, at least, that stuck out to me was Claudia Gray.
Yeah, I'm way excited. So, authors are Cavan Scott, author of Star Wars Adventures in Wild Space, which is more like the kids' stuff. IDW's Star Wars Adventures as well, which I subscribe to. They're fine. They're definitely like geared for kids, but they're fine stories. Claudia Gray, which I'm like, yep, I will buy your book for sure. I have yet to have a miss with you for Star Wars books that I've read.
I think we've read all of hers.
She did Master and Apprentice. She did Bloodline. She did Leia, Princess of Alderaan.
Yeah.
That's the only one I haven't finished.
Yeah, I haven't read Master and Apprentice yet, but Bloodline was absolutely fantastic, and Leia, Princess of Alderaan was a great sort of origin story, if you want to think of it that way, for Leia.
And she did Lost Stars, which Kyler was okay with.
That's right. She did Lost Stars. That's right. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Claudia Gray. If I could get like Lost Stars signed, that's what I'm going to do. Star Wars Celebration. I'm going to take Lost Stars, see if I can't be like, please, I love you so much. I did a whole episode about you on my podcast. Please sign this. And then we have Justina Ireland. She did Spark of the Resistance, Lando's Luck. Those are great. Daniel Jose Older, Last Shot, which I haven't read. It's been sitting on my to-read pile since Christmas last year, 2018. Born in the Storm, and Charles Soule, Marvel's Star Wars Rise of Kylo Ren. So he's the comic guy. Yeah. Star Wars Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. So I haven't read Rise of Kylo Ren yet because I am waiting for the
collection
trade paperback to come out. Yeah. But Star Wars Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith was fantastic. That whole line of comics was great. I loved it. So if he's doing the comics for it, I'm totally cool with whatever he's doing. I'm trying to find where they announced what, because they had like a title for one of the books, but I'm having trouble finding it. Disney also released like a 4-minute trailer essentially for this multimedia project. So go ahead and watch that. It was actually kind of cool. So it's like 4.5 minutes or something like that. It's under 5 minutes. So go watch it.
Yeah. So, and as far as what the trailer was saying, one of the big ideas behind this whole project is going to be the early days of the Republic.
Although, no. This is
the mid days of the Republic.
The mid days.
Republic at its height.
Yeah,
the High Republic.
200 years before Episode 1.
Right. Which, as we were commenting on Facebook, feels a little short. Or was it on Twitter? I don't remember who I was talking to. But it's like for a Republic that stood
for 1,000 years.
For 1,000 years, we're only going 200 years is all. Which, I mean, okay, maybe it's fine, but we'll see. But also one thing they were saying is that the Republic does not cover the entire galaxy at this point. There's still going to be frontier and gunslinger, Wild West type stories going on. So
Random House. Oh, so here's Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi is what it's called. I believe that's the comic. 200 years before the events of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, in the era of the glorious High Republic, the noble and wise Jedi Knights must face a frightening threat to themselves, the galaxy, and the Force itself. So yeah, it's going to be
the Force itself, huh?
That's what they said.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty wide-ranging. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm really excited. That was my wish, was for them to go older, give me kind of a medieval Star Wars, that blend of.
I don't think this will be far enough back for that, but
it's headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the funny thing is that, again, for the Republic standing that long and its height was only 200 years ago, and you still have all this lawless space. I mean, I feel like you should push it a little bit farther.
I don't think so. The build-up to a civilization's height is usually a lot longer than the decline from that height to completely falling apart.
That's fair.
You think about like Rome. Rome was built in 753 AD.
In a day.
Caesar, in a day. And Caesar turns it into an empire in the course of about 10 years around 44 BC. And then even from that, you still have 700 years. And let's just say the Pax Romana, which Caesar Augustus starts with his emperorship, 150 years, starts in about the millennium, a few years before, because we got to clean up the Civil War that he starts.
Yeah.
But still, 750 years leading up to the beginning of your height, which lasts for 150 years. And at the end of that 150-year period, you only have 250 more years before your capital falls and your empire is completely crumbled.
I guess that's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, it's always a long build-up and then a real quick burnout.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
Hopefully that'll be something they point out, because I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
and that's what I'm saying. I could see, like, the Jedi starts as this order that is not involved with the galaxy, or with the political aspect of the galaxy, that they're a religious
Which
order
is what they
for
should
1,000
be, yeah.
years.
Peacekeepers.
Yeah, so the Jedi have been around protecting whatever you want to call it, whether it's the Republic, whether it's individual worlds, for 1,000 years, sure. And the Republic has technically been around for 1,000 years, but maybe it was a few core planets. And then it's, by the time we get this Project Luminous era, the High Republic, where the Republic is really gaining steam and picking up planets left and right that are joining the Republic. And then the Sith are like, cool, thanks for doing the legwork on our Galactic Empire, Republic.
Yeah.
Let's put this plan into motion.
Where does this fall with, like, the Mandalorian War?
I don't know. Since they nuked it, it's just sort of been nebulous.
Have we don't have a new date for the Mandalorian War?
This threat that's coming out of nowhere, I saw that and I was just like, I feel like the laziest thing for them to do, and therefore kind of what I expect from them at this point, is for this threat from the unknown regions, which not the unknown regions, just from beyond what we currently control. I'm just like, is this just going to be the Mandalorian War? Like, that seems like the obvious thing for this to head to. If the Mandalorians are supposed to be such a big threat, everybody's hopped up on Mandalore right now with the Mandalorian and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like, oh yeah, this is the early Mandalorians before they joined the Republic, and ha ha ha. And I'm just like, yeah, that.
It would be cool to see Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi, with the Darksaber uniting it. Like, that's a story that I have long said I would want to see play out longer than the couple-minute exposition that we get in really cool animated shadows in Rebels, because that's a really cool story, the way they chose to tell it with, like, the firelight, casting the shadows and tell it. Awesome. But I would like to see that. So either Filoni give it to me in a TV show somewhere, some several season arc, or give it to me in some live action something or other. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I don't know off the top of my head if there's a specific time for that yet, a time frame. I don't know.
Cool. So maybe it does sound like sounds like it would fit, Chris.
Yeah, I was just picturing, like, it releasing, and it's just like, oh, and some unknown threat. It's like, it's the Mandalorians. No, it's the Mandalorians. Excuse us. Right, quick.
Scribble. Yeah.
I'd be okay with that, though, with it being the Mandalorians.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to happen.
Because it's already
at some point.
something that's established. It's, I don't know. That seems less stupid still than Palpatine. That's like my new low bar. It's like, well, it's not as dumb as Palpatine.
That's true.
Although that's a bar that's essentially about as high as a piece of paper laying on the ground.
Yeah.
So,
That's the kind of bar of, like, can I stand in a puddle of this without getting my feet wet? Yep.
Anyway,
okay. There we go.
There also, by the way, Steven did a good and quick job at posting a lot of the concept art from that trailer to the Facebook group. So go ahead and take a scroll back and look at those. And yeah, look at the new saber designs, the one that might or might not be a dark saber, and one that may or may not be a tuning fork.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what is going on?
Or just the salad tongs. I mean,
yeah.
Or
chopsticks.
Or I'm hoping more it's the double-bladed Temple Guard one, but it's just closed, but the two forks are on. Yeah. Anyway.
The salad fork.
I did like...
The second dumbest lightsaber in existence.
I did like the physical cross guards.
I did like that, of them. Yeah. I was like, that's not very practical, but I like it.
Yeah. It was a good aesthetic flourish, look,
yeah.
Make it look older, exactly. So I'm excited for that.
Maybe they'll be Cortosis.
Anyway, Cortosis is the dumbest idea. Actually, it's not. Cortosis is now the second dumbest idea. Dumbest idea is having Palpatine come back.
Yeah,
I mean,
and here's this week's dose of Rise of Skywalker.
I was just gonna say, just that entire movie. Just
Yeah. That's the newsy news as I try and pull this to our actual topic of the day.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Ross. Okay. I should have asked about this before the episode. How do you want to go about doing this? Do you want to tell us like what you did each day and then like show us stuff?
I think what we should do is do a brief overview. You guys can ask us questions throughout, and then we'll kind of go through our bounteous
so
loot.
the topic being Ross and Carrie have been to Galaxy's Edge in California at Disneyland.
And we may or may not have built sabers.
But definitely did.
We definitely did, yeah.
Okay, I need to hold one of those. Okay, I'm more interested in Carrie's. I know what yours looks like.
Mine is
Well,
prettier,
fine.
I admit.
Yeah, Carrie, that's really cool. Carrie
more
has
heft
like
to it,
a
it seemed
like a
like it would.
Wookiee looking one. It looks like it's wood
Yeah.
and metal.
So I guess let's even just start there because that seems to be the thing everyone's
That was
most
one of the
excited
first
about.
things we did,
Yeah.
too. First
I'm
thing you
not
need to
trained
know...
to use this. How do I turn it on, Carrie? Where's your button? Oh, wait. What? Nope.
It's one of the three in the middle.
There you go. Wait. Black
It's,
one.
yeah, it's
right
the one that pops
there.
out. There you go.
Slide up. There you go.
Aha! I know how to work a lightsaber, I promise.
Oh, there we
In pure young child fashion,
Yes.
you're immediately hitting each other.
Yes. Well, I was going to hit you, but then Chris wanted
Yeah.
to fight, so, you know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Do it. I just tried to decapitate Ross. It did not work. Ross's neck is made of cortosis.
That's right.
No,
That's
I didn't
right.
deactivate the blade. What's going on here?
What is this?
Special cortosis? Anyway.
Well,
All
it
right.
looks really cool.
Carrie, why don't you tell them about our experience at Sabi's?
I'm gonna paint the picture for you. It's sort of in the middle of the Black Spire Batu area, but it's not labeled. You just sort of have to ask around. There is one sign in Arubish that says by appointment only. And that's all that there is to explain it. And you sort of show up at this counter, little booth that they have next to a closed door.
There is a banner that has a logo on it, which is also on the sheaths that we also have here. It's vaguely a simplified lightsaber type.
Yeah, it looks. It's the old
shape.
Jedi. Like Obi-Wan has that on his armor, his Clone War armor.
Yeah.
Oh, does
I
he?
thought that looked
Yep.
familiar.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, you look for that banner and you know you're close.
You do have to make a reservation. We saw so many people who were sadly turned away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so you walk up and you talk to the people and you're like, okay, I have the appointment, and they're like, great. They take your names and then what they'll do is they'll show you.
Ross built Anakin's lightsaber, by the way.
Basically,
Not at all, but
It looks a lot like.
anyway, it's silver and black. Sure, whatever.
No, and it's got this curved part here. Anakin has the black
Yeah, it's got
stripes.
the little
I've
stripes.
painted a lot of lightsabers, Ross.
I mean-
I'm just saying.
They're vaguely similar. Whatever.
It's really similar.
So anyway, they show you the 4 styles of lightsaber. The one that I got was no, you've lost my saber privileges.
I'm trying to irritate Ross while he's talking.
Anyway, the 4 styles are peace and justice, which is what I got.
I got elemental nature.
There is I can never remember the name of it. It's the classic like old Republic style. It's a lot of gold gilded.
Yes, so there was
Stuff.
a lot of silver and gold. in that one.
And you can't mix and match styles.
No, not between those 4. And the final one is power and control, and that's the more Sith looking ones.
I've seen pictures of ones with like a Rancor tooth or something in the bottom.
That's
Elemental
Carrie's
nature, yes.
But you don't
Yeah.
have a Rancor tooth.
No, they give you... Oh, okay, we gotta start at the beginning, though.
Yes.
Because, okay, so you walk in...
Oh wait, so there was a mention of park spoilers. I'm not sure if that's a thing you can really spoil. If you feel like you don't want to hear about Galaxy's Edge, now is your warning to join us next week.
Okay.
If you feel like you don't want to hear about Galaxy's Edge, but you still opened our episode on Galaxy's
Yes.
Edge, then, hey, thanks for your loyalty, I guess.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, continue.
So after, making your purchase, they
Oh, I was also going to tell them about the pins.
they give you a pin and a card that's solely in Arubish that explains you're in, Group J at Save's workshop.
And the pin is unique to the saber style you've chosen.
So that you put it on, and they said, put it over your heart,
Mm-hmm.
so that the workers can know what style that you're interested in, to bring you parts according to that.
Cool.
So they they have a
Let me see yours.
they had a
Carrie.
sweet old lady running our.
Her name was
group.
Joyce.
Her name was
Joyce was
Joyce. So she comes out this closed metal door, and she quickly says to the group that's gathered, "You guys, we have to make this quick. Imperials are going by. We have to keep this door closed as much as possible." And she zips us in there. We each go to a station. They close the door quickly behind you. You're like, but it feels very nice and friendly. Not like you're going to get murdered in an alley.
So the pins,
that's
Ross's pin is a circle, probably inch and a half,
Ish.
2 inches ish
Inch and a half.
across. It looks almost. My first thought was like a Death Star. Mm-hmm. Like it's got
I thought
like
that
kind
too.
of plates and stuff like that on it, gray, like a gray enamel with like
Maybe it's just a moon.
kind of it could be a moon. You're right, Chris. We'll have to get closer to find out. But it's got cool little like techno designs on
Yeah.
it, kind of a thing.
Well, and
With a
I
saber
noticed
in the middle.
all of the designs are vaguely
Oh
saber
yeah,
shaped.
that's true. I
So,
know.
like, you'll
Okay,
notice-
there we go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Carrie's
Same with
here.
mine. There's a
It's
vague
more of a-
saber in the
Yeah,
middle.
and then
Yeah.
Carrie's is kind of an oval, kind of like a copper-colored oval. It's got kind of more
Lots of
flowy,
vines.
Flowy lines, yeah.
lines. Ross's is really rigid. They look pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's about 2 inches long for Carrie's, maybe about an inch wide at the most.
Something like that. Yeah.
So
They stand you at your station, and they walk you through this speech of how appreciative they are that there are people in the galaxy who still care about the Force. And they clarify that they are not Force users. They call themselves the Gatherers. And if you've read the book that goes with Black Spire Outpost, oh, I highly recommend it. They
I have it. I just have a pile of like 7 Star Wars books that I got to get through,
keep going.
and
So-
like 10 trade paperback of comics now to get through. I got a lot.
So they explain that they only gather pieces that they then can distribute to people who are seeking to use the Force. And they put, what did they do next?
They brought out the trays of the kyber crystals.
That's
And
right.
talked
They
about
had
kyber
us all
crystals.
close our eyes. I can't believe how it started feeling so sacred. They have you close your
I hear
eyes.
that a lot though from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a almost spiritual experience or something.
It really. They
Imagine the kyber crystal that you want, that you seek, and reach
go
out,
so
and they
bad.
have a tray in front of you. Not a tray, like a
It was around. So they have these.
cylindrical thing.
So they have these themed boxes, Imperial boxes in the back. They're these big yellow things and these round cylinders that they'll pull out, and it's just kind of a big cylinder that has all these kyber crystals lined up in it.
That are labeled as dangerous and rubbish.
Yes.
They kind of even briefly described that that's how they were hiding them from the Empire or First Order or
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, so yeah, they have you reach out, select your kyber crystal. Ross, did you use the Force to select yours?
They said to close your eyes and picture your color in your mind. And
And Ross
obviously,
peaked and picked blue because of course he did.
obviously, the first thing that came to mind was blue.
As with
So-
mine, I knew I was going to get green, so I reached out my hand, opened my eyes, and picked the closest green one. So there's a little spot at your station. You set it there, and then they hand you this tray of just parts and supplies. And so then someone comes to your station and sort of just walks you through building your lightsaber, and you just get to select the pieces you want. So my tray did have a Rancor tooth, but I didn't.
So
want
there
that
is
one.
some customization within the overall style.
Yes.
Okay.
So each saber has 5 pieces.
Ross is disassembling his.
Yeah. Because
his
so I can
lightsaber
also
for
show
us.
you the kyber crystal in the
Cool.
middle. So it'll come with this kind of this plastic chassis. Is
So you
the
can
first
take
thing
the
you grab.
pommel off. You can take the exit off where the blade comes out of.
You are
emitter.
going
The
way more
emitter,
in
that's
depth
the word
than
I'm
I would
thinking
have
of.
thought.
Yeah.
There we go. We've got like a surrounding piece, like a casing, two
Yeah, there are
casings.
two shroud type pieces, and then there are these 2 pieces here in the middle.
Gotcha.
that
The how's your
house
kyber?
the
Oh,
kyber crystal.
cool.
So each section, all those 5 sections,
Yeah.
have 2
come
choices in them.
Yes, it does.
It does, yeah. Yeah, the
do you
kyber
get it
crystals
out?
that are in the saber.
Oh, there's a spring holding it in.
Yeah, so
Oh,
push
so
like a
up
battery.
on the top.
Yes, like a battery.
The little gray piece on top.
I don't know if Kyler's ready to build his lightsaber.
I am clearly not.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. The
Okay.
and so
get it
you
out.
get you get
I'm
2
not
choices
capable, apparently.
with each section. And the two sleeve pieces, so the
not be
center
either.
pieces, the centerpiece
Use Carrie's
stays in
little
the center.
pin thing to like scoop
The
it out.
emitter and pommel are always on those ends, but the two sleeves that are in the middle of those, you can switch around, and there's other options here. I can,
Okay. Chris and I are not
Yeah,
ready.
we're not force sensitive.
But we do. Chris discovered a red kyber crystal, so one of these two traders
Force threw me right to it.
is yeah, of course. Chris has actually, not knowing what that is, been playing with a thing.
Oh no, I knew it. It says
Oh,
Kyber
really?
crystal.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was. But yeah, so Chris drew, obviously, the red one. And they're what? These are probably an inch long, inch and a quarter, maybe. Maybe half an inch wide at the very most. They look like crystals. So
as
it's pretty
you
cool.
as you take the crystals and you put them in, there will be little noises that it'll make. Let's see if I can.
Ooh, Ross is going
Oh, the
red
misfire noise that it makes.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it was just doing that in the park, because it normally makes a little whirring sound. Or maybe my saber just doesn't accept red crystals.
now. I would believe that from you. I would actually totally believe that.
The small end goes towards the spring plate.
Okay.
So,
Can we put it back together and it'll function with that now?
yeah.
Will it be red?
Yes,
will
it
be.
will.
Yeah.
That's the idea, yeah.
So the
No way. That's
the,
way. So the color, like,
The color
That's
of the
really
kyber
cool.
crystal determines the color
that
of your
is
blade.
freaking
Which is why people have been
amazing.
able to hack these to switch to whatever color they want and stuff.
Well, that's lame.
Yeah, it is, but it's it's programmed into the lightsaber to do any of them, and then it just picks its color based off of the kyber crystal.
Ah, that's so cool.
You keep talking while I put this back
That's
together.
neat.
After you build your lightsaber, they do have you stand back because they tell you a speech about the crystal is stabilizing.
And because we're not Force users, they have a special chamber that'll make sure everything's aligned properly and won't explode. So that's the
Oh,
It's
that's
attuning
the
to you.
things are correct noise.
Ross's lightsaber accepts the red crystal. I knew it. Ross is evil at heart. Ross, let it out.
Yeah, nice try.
Let it flow. Let it flow.
And then now the saber that was blue a moment ago.
It's red, and it makes
now-
me so happy.
Now another thing to also notice is that each crystal and each color has different noises.
Yeah, that's true. It does sound
Yeah.
So you
a
notice this
little
one,
more aggressive.
this one's a little more raspy, and then also like the on and off sounds will be different as
Yeah.
well.
So what colors are available there in Savi's workshop?
Ooh, at Savi's workshop, you have fewer choices. You only have the 4, and they tell you what they symbolize:
Red, blue, green.
red, blue,
purple.
green, purple.
Yeah.
And then outside of Save's workshop, you can go to a Den of Antiquities. Is that the title of it?
Yeah, Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities.
And there are a couple more options available there, where you can buy more of the colors you already have to interact with the holocrons, or you can buy yellow and white.
Interact
And-
with the holocrons?
Oh yeah, we'll tell you
Get
about
to
that
that in a
too.
moment.
I'm so excited.
Oh, and legend has it that amongst the pile of red kyber crystals, there are hidden black ones. But again, you're gonna have to like buy a dozen or more to maybe find one. So we didn't
I will
risk it.
buy it. How much are
Well,
they?
see, and it's funny because like I knew that going into it that there were black ones, right? And so I was like, can I just get a black one? And the guy just kind of hands me this bowl of these red tubes, and is like, "Sorry, dude, you
Good
gotta
luck,
search for it." Yeah.
And you're not allowed to open it first.
No.
No.
No, it comes pretty tightly sealed, so it's
Yeah, it looks
it's
like a
pretty
little
tough.
coaxium capsule is what
Yeah,
the
that's what I thought it was when I picked it up.
kyber crystals come
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
That's why it's dangerous, Chris.
Yes.
It could totally envelop and destroy Savi's workshop.
Oh, but the last part of the saber thing, they have the ceiling lights up and Yoda talks to you and like basically like blesses and christens the people who have just
But
made
no, really,
yeah.
yeah, that's basically what it boils down
have
to.
just made their sabers, and then the workers then plug in your saber to this like hookup in your workstation, and they have you all, everyone at the same time put the hand on the hilt, turn it on, and then this enclosed casing opens up and reveals that they have plugged in the blade, and now you have a fully functioning lightsaber. And they have an awesome speech that I don't even remember. It just felt inspirational
Yeah.
because I was holding a lit lightsaber in my hand. And they have you raise it to the sky, and so many grown men in the room with us were just near tears going, oh my goodness, this
I
is my
will
childhood.
be one of those people.
Well, and not just like grown men, but like the dude standing next to me was like a total like punk gangster dude, and he's like, "Man, I'm tearing up here." It was the funniest thing.
Wait, as were we a little. If
I
I'm
am
being
excited
honest.
though because I can already tell you guys when I go, there's going to be a follow-up episode where Kyler gets historical and compares this to other initiation rites in history. So I can tell you right now that's going to be an episode that happens in a year from now.
We should have had you watch it on YouTube or something.
I don't want to. I would rather go and
Rather see
experience it like for the first time, do it right, and I'll go back and watch it on YouTube or something like
Mm-hmm.
for research later. But
Gotcha.
That's true.
I want the first time to be, I want my first to be special.
He's waiting. He's waiting
That's
for the
right.
I'm
part.
saving
He's
myself
saving
for the right
himself.
moment, Ross.
One of the other things that I did think was super cute too was so many crew members, workers at the park, like go out of their way to make it extra special for kids. So in our little group of saber building workshop
I need to
people,
take my kids.
there's
This has got
there's
to
one dad and he's got like two little boys on either side of him that are like barely taller than the workbench, and the worker is like going out of their way to like get down at their level and be like, you guys, like serious, you guys, as soon as you leave this workshop, you've got to be extra careful. Because you notice no one in this room picked a red kyber crystal. Outside of this room, there are Sith, and you've got to be careful.
That's awesome.
It was just so super cute, and that like was repeated throughout the park. Just all of the workers go out of their way
Was
to make
there
it great for
Yoda
kids.
stuff around?
Yoda or Baby Yoda?
So
Either way.
the park.
Because again, I'm thinking like, okay, I've got to really start like actually seriously planning a trip now for my kids. And I'm going, okay, 2-year-old, she'll be 3. She already loves it. She's not seen really any Star Wars except for like random clips that happen to have Yoda, and she loves Yoda. She has no context for who he is or why he matters or anything like that. Because it started with The Mandalorian. She saw Baby Yoda, and she would just point at him and be like, cute. And I'm like, that is correct. He is cute, And then she saw old Yoda because I was watching Empire Strikes Back, and she like walked into the bedroom and she's like, we had taught her Yoda, that's Baby Yoda, and she's like, Baby Yoda, cute, So then she saw Yoda, and she's like, Yoda? I'm like, yeah, that's Yoda. Yoda, cute. And I'm like, he's cute too. That's right. Different kind of cute, but he's still cute, So I'm going, okay, next year she'll be 3.5-ish, in the summertime, like. Maybe that's still too young, but if there was Yoda stuff, then she would probably enjoy that.
As far as I remember, there was only the one movable booth.
There were 2. There was
There
one.
was 2?
There's
Okay.
probably 3, but we didn't go in the third entrance. So
maybe
the thing,
wait to take the 3.5-year-old.
Maybe. Well, see, here's the thing: is that the park is set up to be very much in story.
Yeah.
Right. It is.
Absolutely themed that
Yeah.
you are on the planet of Batu.
The park is in canon. It has a specific point in the Star Wars timeline, and so everything that's inside the entrance is all just as if it was the planet.
Yeah.
There are not Disneyland signs. Everything is in Arubish.
You cannot see other park attractions from the rest of Disneyland anywhere inside Galaxy's Edge,
That's
unless
way
you're like
cool.
standing in
the
the
trash
entrance.
cans
But
are even themed.
Yeah.
As if they were just trash
That was the
cans
first thing
on
I took
Batu.
a picture of was the trash can, because it says on it in Arubish, take to section, and then it's 3826,
I saw that one,
3827,
Yeah.
which is the
Trash
Death
compactor.
the trash compactor that Luke and Han and
Yeah.
all those guys were being smashed in. And so so nothing inside the park is outside of that story, but there are these little tiny carts as you're walking in that do have. And actually, they had Baby Yoda stuff. There were some shirts.
They had Baby Yoda shirts and a couple.
and
I think
there
Baby
was like
Yoda,
a cup, like one of the thermal cups.
and a magnet that says my baby can levitate your baby.
Yeah. So that's
Because
all
I
they've
think the
got right
twins
now.
would really like this, but
Yeah.
But that's how they sneak it in, where it's not necessarily like on theme. It's just at the entrance of the park, so it doesn't count.
Yeah. So I mean, just the entrance to that part of the land, not
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
whole park. And everything, the rest of the, like, all the set dressing, everything is all just immaculate and in Star Wars. The only thing that it needs that it didn't have is, like, junk blowing around on the ground. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, super, super well done, tight. It just looks like you could just be there. Yeah, honestly, I was thinking while we were there, it wouldn't surprise me if they ever did like a movie that visits Black Spire Outpost, they could probably film there with very little.
Yeah, just to put some
change.
heaps of sand on the ground and
Basically.
maybe some space trash, and that would be your set.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was absolutely spectacular. I'm going to put up an album of pictures probably before this episode goes live.
Cool.
I'll probably do it.
I am way
Sunday.
excited to see those pictures.
Oh, that's right. And you need to upload your half of the
do.
pictures
I do.
that we took. Anyway,
Sounds like it's going to be a big album.
it'll be pretty decent. Yeah.
Cool.
So we did Savi's workshop first. What was the next
Let's
thing
talk
that we
about
did?
experiences you can have, because that's
Okay.
one of the experiences.
Yes.
Another is the going to the droid depot, building your own droid.
Oh,
this was
where is your
another
droid?
one. Is downstairs.
Oh.
Yes, Droid Depot. I was surprised how few people knew about this one, because I thought this was as common sense as building your own lightsaber. But yeah, essentially several moms at the park were like seeing me tote mine around and asking, "Oh, is that like Build-A-Bear but for droids?" Yes, it is. You also need a reservation for this one, but they do have like a walk-in option, and it seems like more
How do
people
they
were
make
able to do this.
reservations?
You do it through Disney's website or their app.
At least
so-
60 days in advance.
Oh,
Yes.
so plan well before you go.
Yes.
Don't just show up and expect to do things.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you go to the Droid Depot, and if you've signed up to make one, they have available ones you can just buy that are essentially R2-D2, BB-8, like the main ones. I think they do have some standing C-3POs that are a couple feet tall.
Did they? I don't remember
They
seeing
did,
those.
yeah.
Okay.
But they were off in a corner. No one likes C-3PO.
Yeah.
They walk you to this back of the store where there's a conveyor belt covered in droid parts, and they give you a cart with like a tray at the bottom that explains, okay, pick out these pieces that you're gonna need, dealer's choice. And so yeah, as this conveyor belt goes by, you pick up the pieces you want. You go to a droid building station where they have like an electronic screwdriver waiting for you.
Yeah, it just had like the assembly instructions, which is just basically like you did a BB-8 model, and so it was take the motor and put on these little tube pieces on the inside, put in the personality chip that we put in.
Oh, which was extra. You can apparently get
Yes.
a droid with no personality, or you can choose to have a droid with the personality of a smuggler, the First Order, or the... What do they call
What was
it?
Resistance?
The Resistance,
Yeah.
okay. And that was the one we got. 'cause
And they
we're
also
good
had like
guys.
at least they had 2 voices for the Resistance. At least I don't remember if they had that many.
They
for
had a
others.
couple for
So they
each.
had one that sounds more like R2, one that sounds more like BB-8. But anyway, so like for the BB-8 model, you pick up the main ball casings, and there's the 2 pieces that are taped together. So the blueprints show you just put the motor in the ball and then put them together and twist. And then, like, you put the head on because that one's magnetic, so you just set it on top. What was the thing that you used the screwdriver for?
Oh, it was attaching the base of the head to the top of the head.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. The head came in 2 pieces. Yeah, and so they have just a bunch of these little different parts. They're all different colors. Like the main ball pieces were taped together, so those would always match. But like you could have done a traditional BB-8 white and orange head on top of the purple ball that we had.
Okay.
Or-
So that sounds a lot more customizable than in lightsabers.
Especially if you get the R2 units, they have different accessories you can buy to attach to it.
Can I get oil and a flamethrower?
that one? No, sorry.
jets?
You
Can we
can
get
have
There are
the
jets.
drink holder,
There are jets. There are also blasters for R2. There is also the drink holder.
but BB
That's
units.
great. Actually, that's functional.
Yeah, BB units they didn't have much to add.
I mean, they're like quarter-size shot glass size. So I mean, they're teeny. So I mean,
Adorable
it's nothing.
though. Yeah, not much you can add to BB-8, so we didn't really have the option
Yeah.
to get a lot of accessories for ours.
Because
That makes
BB-8's
sense
an
with the
inferior
roller.
droid.
He's adorable.
Well,
Don't say that.
And some of the other customizations were like decal stickers, which I mean you could have done there were decal stickers for the R2 types, and so like R2's tall door that's on both the left and right had different inserts that you could put in that were different colors, or so I think there was also just a pack of stickers that you could put on top of those even, but there wasn't any of that for BB-8, which kind of surprised me
Yeah, me too.
that you didn't have even that sort of customization.
Oh,
but
something to know that I guess caught me off guard when we were at the park. We had been told that the droids interact with the park, which they do, but one of the things I didn't suspect was that droids are also a tripping hazard. So they do. Once you've made yours, they put it in a little essentially a Build-A-Bear container.
cardboard
And that
box.
they rip out the cardboard window so the little droid can look out. It's so adorable. Anyway, they do ask that you keep it in there unless you go to the backside of the droid depot. They have a track
playpen?
set up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was just a rubber mat that had just obstacles painted on it, right? So you could try and drive it around this little
And practice,
almost
yeah.
maze, yeah.
So basically,
Which
then
I
you
will
had
have
to,
a video of posted.
Oh, that's true.
So
Then
How'd you
you carry around your
didn't try.
droid.
No.
I did. I was terrible at it. Yeah, and you can like hear your droid react to different parts of the park. Like anytime we went into the First Order section, our droid was freaking out. Anytime we went,
with a resistance droid.
oh, of course we did. But I took pictures for you of the First Order store.
Thank you.
Yes.
Since you're evil and that store's evil.
I think we even posted that one, didn't we?
Yeah, you
yeah.
sent
Yeah.
me. I think you sent me that in a text. You were like, "Hey, for you and your evil friends." I was like, "Thank you, exactly."
Yeah, people get pretty evil. I overheard one of the customers in the First Order store asking where they could buy a blaster, and the sweet lady running that counter was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, only stormtroopers on this planet are allowed to carry blasters."
Yeah. Well, and then we were at the resistance side, and they
Follow
had
up
these
question:
little like.
where can I buy stormtrooper armor?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
no,
Funny
they
you
did have
should
a full
mention
set
that.
in that.
So
thing.
you buy the full
But-
set of stormtrooper armor, and then like the next day you come back and you're like, "I need a blaster."
Well, they did have the little like shock baton and shield.
Oh,
that the
cool.
One
They
Trooper
did have
does
that, yes.
Just, I mean, little plastic. They're definitely like for the
So that
kids
you can yell
set
traitor at
scales.
everyone you meet.
Basically. But like, so we're at the resistance side in their little shops, and they're just themed more like little like drop cargo pods that are just opened
Okay.
up, and you walk up to them around all sides. Yes, when you don't have the blade in, the saber makes a short-circuiting sound.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
And so we're standing around and we're buying our souvenirs from there, and I hear some kid walk by and he's like, "Oh, this is all just the resistance crap." It's just like, you First Order scoundrel.
That's right. And I'm so proud of whoever you were, little kid.
Just some kid. But the droid depot is funny too. At least with the person that was leading us through it, they call it like a droid adoption.
Yeah,
Or whatever
I
it
think
was,
they did.
and they totally like that's the story that this worker is doing it too, because like she's coming around and it's like, oh, it's so cute, and then like they finally activate it and link it with the remote, and then they're like, okay, now hold your hands out and give it a big hug, and she like takes the remote and rolls it towards you like it's coming towards you for the first time, and it's adorable. That's what inspired our baby BB unit picture. Did we post that one?
We did.
We did
post
post
that
it.
Yeah, that one
We
was
got
funny.
absolutely the most likes on
Yes.
that one.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
dang
we had
funny.
a droid birth announcement
Yeah.
for our lovely Galaxy's Edge
Yeah,
trip.
it was very
Yeah.
funny.
Yep. Which we named and christened B1T4, as in
Yep.
B1 with the Force.
Yep.
So we call her B1.
Yes.
She's a her. I like to think she has slightly less sassy personality than L3, but only slightly.
In the tradition of giving your pets alternate names, I will be calling B1 Bone from here on out.
I approve.
You know what? That'll only make sense to us and people that listen to this podcast because there's nothing else on it that's going to look like a bone.
That's okay.
Okay.
We'll
making
know,
sure you know.
and that's what's important.
If people are listening, I'm sure they
Oh.
can figure out, one, O-N-E, bone.
For any millionaires listening to this show, you can, at the Droid Depot, buy a life-sized, fully functional R2-D2 unit
Yes.
for the small sum of 25,000.
Something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
So let's just say we stood next to it and felt very privileged, and that was all we could afford.
I think it was... No, it was 2,500.
And that privilege only
It was a
cost
lot.
you
It was a lot.
$1,000.
Maybe, wait a minute, maybe it was 25,000.
As
I don't
opposed
remember.
to if you did want that whole stormtrooper outfit. I love that they found a way to include Order 66 in this because it's $6,600.
And yeah, and it's a full adult size First Order
That
Stormtrooper.
is actually basically market price for those.
Is
There
it?
are other companies and stuff that I've looked into this before. That might not surprise you.
have.
And like $3,000, $4,000 for a full
Yeah.
outfit that's basically standard. So to have one that's officially licensed and professionally produced for $6,000, that's That's about where it should be.
There we go.
Man, terrible.
Yeah. So next we should probably talk about the cantina. Actually, wait a minute. Now, also, there are a couple other souvenirs in the droid shop.
Chris can't help but play with lightsabers, in case you heard that.
I was testing the balance. I was curious how that actually felt as you were waving it around. But it's all right.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say about the lightsabers is that they also come with these little handy belt clips.
Oh,
right?
nice.
I give them a B- because anytime you sat down, the belt clip's gonna fall off, as
Yeah.
is your lightsaber.
Well,
so ours did get a little.
It's
Bumps.
pretty stiff, and I think it's supposed to go around something that is that length. Like, both of our things were long, and so it was never able to fully clip on. Like, I had it on the strap of my bag, but the strap is too thick for the clip.
Gotcha.
And so it did pop off once, and we did drop our sabers at one point, which they tell you not to do in the presentation. But
It's very important not to drop something so powerful.
yeah. That was the other thing I was going to mention. Is it so you hear that these sabers are like combat readyable, like you're supposed to be able to fight with them? I'm not as confident.
I wasn't sure
in
I was
that.
feeling that.
Yeah,
I was,
So,
but that was just me.
well, and originally I thought it would be fine because so the chassis in the middle is plastic, which okay, whatever. And so I figured what it was just like the rest of it would be a metal pipe, and so it was all actually the strength was all in the metal on the outside because it is hefty. I mean, it's a heavy piece of merchandise. But then as I've been kind of taking it apart, I realized that no, it's just the two end caps screw into the plastic and are pushing the other metal pieces together. So I wouldn't do any serious fighting with them at all.
But I've heard that people have that are fairly strong. Okay, Radio Ronin. They apparently wailed on each other with them and were fine.
I would like to see what they're wailing actually. You jerk.
I mean, we can test it on you, Ross.
Chris is hitting me with it.
That
But I mean,
even hard. Come on.
yeah, I would like to
That's
see
what she said.
what they're wailing meant.
That's like he
Because, I mean, I know how strong the fencing swords are and how much we do break those. This isn't going to stand up to that sort of punishment, so I wouldn't.
not for long,
I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't.
fight with them. Yeah,
How much did it cost to get a lightsaber?
$200.
Yeah, I don't know if I would.
Kyber
Yeah.
crystals are 15 if you want to get a different color later. So we did see several, varieties of families that were wanting to have that experience. Like, you saw some loaded families where everyone in the family got a lightsaber, and then you saw other families walking around the park where one family was sharing one lightsaber, and
Yeah.
it was like, okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think we'd be getting multiple lightsabers with my family.
One thing you can do, and I think they are a little bit cheaper, are the
I
replica
gotta save
sabers.
up like $800.
The Dokandar shop also has replica sabers, like from the movies. So you have, Luke's and Kylo Ren's and all that, which seemed to be the more popular option. People realized they couldn't get reservations.
And what they had was Padawan training sabers.
Yes.
AKA a more traditional little kid saber
Yes.
that already is intact.
Yeah,
and not
and it actually
built.
it did have a blade that would light up similar to these, but it was just a smaller.
Like a Yoda-sized one?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
so
Yeah. The only other thing I'd mention about the Droid Depot before I think we should talk about Doc Ondar's shop
yeah,
would be if you are getting any jewelry for yourself, for the women out there, or men, if you are getting any jewelry for
Yourself.
yourself or your loved ones.
If you are getting any jewelry,
yeah.
The only real jewelry stand is in the Droid Depot. Surprised me about that. They don't have a ton, because really what I think about when I go to places and I get nerdy stuff, I actually have less nerdy t-shirts than I do nerdy jewelry.
Yeah.
So I was really holding out for that, and they had one tiny small little stand with a couple of droid themed bracelets and necklaces.
Chris is playing with some of the other toys
This
too.
is so evil. He went to that one too.
I did this one first.
Yeah, he was
to be
already
fair.
doing that one.
You can't
Anyway.
put all this stuff in front of me without me playing with it. Like my hands just automatically. I'm gonna stroke your porg bald here.
And there were also a couple other things in the Droid Depot that we didn't. I'm just gonna move on.
I'll keep my thoughts to myself.
There were a couple other made destroyer droid and other droid type little statues they had against one wall as well, which were interesting, but were a little bit more expensive than what I felt like I wanted to buy them for. But anyway, lots of cool stuff around.
Doc Ondar's Shop of Antiquities. That was my favorite shop in the whole place. It's the one that's going to have all the Jedi relics, a lot of I mean, not necessarily resistance stuff, but just a lot of Jedi-related stuff.
Jedi and Sith stuff
Yeah.
all together. So you walk in, and the first thing that you see is the 4 panels of the carving that's on Emperor Palpatine's, Chancellor Palpatine's wall.
Before he's gone Emperor.
When he's talking to Anakin, like, and Anakin figures out he's the Sith, you see that mural that's on the back wall.
Yeah.
They have those panels right as you walk
That's
in.
cool.
That's where we got the holocrons, which are sitting in front of us. That's where...
the noise you might have just heard.
Yes. That's where the extra kyber crystals come from. That's where this little Jedi statue comes from.
Which is super cool. The Jedi statue, I'm going to totally have to get one of these because it would make sweet Legion terrain.
They have,
This is the Jedi holocron you're hearing now. Does come out?
There is... One of the doors does come out, but I've usually done it with it off. Because this is another thing that reacts to the kyber crystals. And not only that, but they also react to each other. So...
using them on their own, you have to have your fingers touch each of the sides, and it will speak to you. It will teach you.
Oh.
So, both of the
Do it.
holocrons have a little door, and you can put in crystals in them. And each crystal will have a different set of quotes from different people from the movies. I got, as the red crystal, if you'll give it a try, you can see these 2 little black dots on these 2 sides. Put your fingers on the 2 little black.
I'll have much use for you. I foresee we will do great things together.
So,
I shall teach you the ways of the dark side.
yeah. I happen to get Count Dooku out of mine. All the red crystals, they all look the same, but there are a bunch of different people they have quotes
a bunch
from.
Of different Sith.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Such as you get quotes from Darth Vader. I don't know if Palpatine was one of them because Palpatine shows up in other combinations.
Bane is one.
Darth Bane is the holocron on its own with no crystal in it.
Oh, right.
Well, we've got a...
That one's tough. You
it
just
is
got to
weird.
pry at it and pull it out.
I was like, am I going to break something here? I'm going to
think
break
so.
my finger?
Oh, okay. So here's
But
another
that's
thing
not important.
with the merchandise. So our last night there,
Ever had
standing
a
at the-
fingernail pull off? It's not pleasant.
yeah, we're standing at the Rebel drop pods things, and the one guy that was actually scanning my merchandise broke character a little bit and was talking to me about the things that we got. So actually, I guess I'll even show you. I got 2 die-cast models.
I was noticing those.
One of the Falcon and one of a Blue
course.
Squadron X-Wing. And so he was saying that these are really nice
Falcon's
because
guns move, and so does the radar dish, it looks like.
it moves most of the way around. It doesn't go quite all the way, but whatever. He was saying that these die-cast models are actually brought into the park by Lucasfilm. And how some of the merchandise is actually created and provided by Disney, some by Lucasfilm. And so
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting as well. I'm wondering if
I would
the
have thought
holocrons...
Disney would have been in charge at this point of all merchandising.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and with the way Disney kind of has its companies separate, still individual, it kind of doesn't surprise me.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't, but I don't
But
know.
at
I
the
guess
same
I just
time,
thought
it still
would
kind of
all
does.
be-
Yeah. Yeah, you can hear Darth
Is that
Bane
Mark
going,
Hamill?
It is.
That's fantastic.
And they used most of the voices are from Clone Wars.
Do
They
the
sound like
ships-
they're from Clone Wars.
Do the ships come off the stands?
They do.
Okay. I didn't want to,
Snap it
try
off.
and then break it, you know?
Break all my new toys.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and one thing I'm noticing is I believe the holocrons are more of a Disney thing. Like the droids and the holocrons, I think, are the Disney because I feel like the build quality.
Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic
That should sound familiar to
dark
everyone.
shadow
Yes,
of the Empire
Oh my goodness!
take their place.
because that is the
That
James
is
Arnold
James
Taylor.
Arnold
Oh,
Taylor. Obi-Wan from the beginning of the show, guys. He's here again.
But so
Thanks
like
for coming, James. See you.
the build quality on like the holocrons, I feel is a little bit less than what you'd want them to
Yes,
be.
I was thinking that.
They're definitely plastic. They feel a little bit loose. And actually, as we were standing in
Still a
Doc
nice
Ondar's
hat to
shop
this holocron.
and looking at stuff,
Yeah, give me one of those.
I noticed that someone was holding a Sith holocron and trying to like turn it on, but I think that they had kind of pinned down one of
The
the other
other
corners
movable
here.
parts,
Yeah. So with the Sith one, you twist the top, and all 4 corners move at the same time.
Sorry.
And so I think someone had pinned one of the other corners and was trying to twist the top because you could see other people doing it, and I could hear a snap.
Yeah.
Not a good snap. And
Oh,
so they ended
no.
up handing it up to the front. So we were a little bit more fragile with these. But like the die-cast models are decently...
Yeah, the die-cast
hefty.
models look
So-
really nice. They're bigger than a lot of the other die-cast models
They
that
are.
you can get at, like,
Yeah.
Target or something like that. The holocrons, I kind of agree with what you're saying. Like, they're cool, but they do feel not as nice, I guess, as
Yeah.
what I would have expected from
Not quite
Galaxy's
as
Edge.
tight, I think, is
Yeah,
the
tight
best way
would
to put
be.
it.
Yeah, because, like, yeah, I'm moving the corners on the Jedi holocron and moving them a pretty decent amount of the way without even doing
Really
anything.
trying.
Yeah, without even... Well, and without even turning it on
force.
either, you know?
Yeah.
And it does feel like they have to turn a certain way.
Yeah. So be careful with those if you people get them.
All right,
if
let
you,
me mess with
if you
the
go.
Sith one here.
One of the cheapest things you can get was at Doc Ondor's shop, and that was the Jedi Wisdom Stones, I think is what they were called.
them.
The one with the wrong saying.
So in case you are not super up to date on like Clone Wars or Rebels, the Jedi holocron is a cube, and the corners will twist to make like their little triangles, you know, so they'll twist and then it becomes a more interesting little shape.
It's a corrupted one.
The Sith holocron is a giant D4,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whose corners also are D4s that twist.
A three-sided pyramid.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and if you throw it at somebody, it does 1d4 damage.
Okay, hold on. Just for the sake of recording, we can't have all this noise and talking going at the same time. So
I got Yoda when I put the red kyber crystal in.
He warns you about the dark side.
yes.
Interesting.
Okay, you were saying, Kyler.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you were to throw the Sith holocron at someone, it would do 1d4 damage.
Yes.
Bludgeoning damage.
Yes, it would.
Maybe piercing.
The Jedi holocron does 6 damage.
Yep.
But if you roll it, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Chris and I immediately roll.
I should have known. Oh,
Yeah, Ross, I think that's on you. I mean, these are basically in our
Yeah.
hands anyway, and you tell us
Yeah.
not to roll them.
There
and
is-
they're dice shaped.
Well, if he
so-
had just told us not to roll them, it would have been like, oh, okay. But it came with a threat. To
Yeah,
punch us
exactly.
in the face. It's like,
now
oh, well,
I
now
have to do it. Yeah.
there is one other secret with the two holocrons, and the reason why I bought both, because they react to each other as well.
Ooh.
So let's... Do we still have the red one in there? Okay, good. So I've just turned on the Jedi.
And it's
holocron.
blue. It's glowing blue.
I turn on the red Sith holocron, and then when I place the Sith holocron on top of the
They
Jedi
become, like,
holocron,
purple.
They turn purpley, and their audio lines change too.
Jedi and Sith wield the Ashtar and Bogan, the light and the dark.
Huh.
I'm the one in the middle, the Bendu.
Yeah, the Bendu.
Yeah,
Who's
So
also
you
one
get-
of the doctors. He's like the 4th doctor or something like that. From Doctor Who, yeah. The one with the scarf.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Sylvester McCoy.
No, not McCoy.
Is it McCoy the scarf?
I don't know. The one with the long scarf. That's all I know.
Not Baker.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but Tom Baker is the one with the scarf. That's
Yeah.
my bad.
but yeah,
You guys
so
are
get,
not in your element
you get
with
Bendu,
Doctor Who.
Bendu quotes.
Not enough. No.
I hate Doctor Who.
I quite like it, but I don't know it well enough.
Okay, so where are we at? We're just talking about experiences.
We've got to mention the rides too.
Oh, that's-
because
oh, that's
the
right.
rides are the experience.
We were going to talk about the cantina first too, actually,
Oh, that's
because
right.
that was kind of disappointing.
Oh, you stole one of the things.
We did. We stole a coaster.
High
they're-
five, Ross!
They're cardboard. I mean,
Yeah, but you stole. I'm proud of you, Ross.
it's actually carried. It's
First step.
Carrie!
Yeah, I'm the one that's
First step on the way to
chaotic.
the dark side.
That's right.
Yeah.
Stealing is the
Do it.
leading to the dark side. Yeah.
You
So-
have done well.
You have to make a reservation for the cantina, which does serve alcohol, and people are quick to go there, even early in the
Yes.
morning. That did surprise me.
Wait, you have to
You-
make a reservation to go for what?
To the cantina.
To the cantina? Really?
Yes,
I think it's probably in the beginning while there's so many people still trying to flood everything, but they'll probably change that later.
there's
anyway.
maybe seating for 40 people tops and standing room for 100.
Even that. I mean, it's like there's like 10 or 12 booths around the
So,
outside.
Just know that your reservation is for standing room.
Yes.
They stand you at a bar, and then they stand someone else behind you, so that as soon as you're done, they can swoop in and
Wow.
take your part of
Yeah.
the bar. It's very bustling. It's a very busy cantina, and it really does have a cantina feel, but
See, and that
they
was
want
the
you
thing
in and out.
that was surprising is that they advertise it as a family cantina. Like it said, like family cantina diner or something on
Yeah.
the
So that was going to be my question.
stuff.
If I'm taking my kids, like, am I going to get a booth?
Their tables are interactive, I guess. So each table seats roughly 10 people if you squished in, so
Yeah.
they are gonna seat you with other families.
and it is
Unless you bring
themed
a very
like
big family.
the Mos Eisley Cantina. So that's kind of what we're looking at. The booths,
Yeah.
a little cutout of like stone walls, and then the curved bar in the middle. And they also had IG-88 heads, IG droid heads as the taps.
That's
Like
because
the
that's what they
drinks.
are in episode 4.
That's what they come out of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like,
And they're from like some kind of like roadster engine.
oh, are they? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, I learned that the other day.
They have a few non-alcoholic drinks for you to get.
Well, so they hand you this menu, and one side is all the alcoholic stuff. The other
Which
side
we
is
have somewhere. Is it these?
No, none of these are the menus. You can't walk off with those.
Oh.
They take them as soon
No,
as
but
you're
I
done
thought I
with
saw
them.
food in there. Oh, I did see food. There
Yeah.
it is.
And they have the droid from Star Tours, Rex, on one wall
That's
playing
almost
playing
Dex, your
music.
favorite person.
I was going to say that maybe eventually they'll open a Dexter's Diner.
Oh my gosh! Then we'll have to take Ross back and
That one will be more family friendly.
yeah.
It really probably would be, because especially at this one, there was no food. Like there was like a cheese plate and like
Appetizer platter,
a little
yeah.
appetizer thing, but there were like 2 options and everything else was just drinks. So I don't know why and how they call it a diner. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
so in the
definitely a
in
cantina.
August Cantina, they have Rising Moon's overnight oats and Mustafarian cinnamon roll in the morning, and then a bunch of drinks. Mm-hmm. And then in the afternoon, they have Hapabor sampler and Batu bits,
Yeah.
and then a bunch of drinks.
Yep.
So
And
you're
Kyler's
going there to
getting
drink.
that. Kyler's getting that out of one of the pamphlets. That
Out
we
of the Star
picked
Wars
up.
Galaxy's Edge Provision and Merchant Guide.
Yes.
Oh, one of the staples is blue and green milk.
Mm-hmm.
They actually have 2 different types of blue milk. So one of the blue milks you can get is at the cantina, and it comes with a cookie, so I recommend it.
The cookie was good.
The cookie was delicious. It was kind of like a Samoa Girl Scout cookie
Okay.
on top of a sugar cookie. It was interesting. Anyway, so that one was just purely blue milk, and then if you want to get it elsewhere in the park, they have a milk stand that you can buy all the milk at.
I love it. That's a great
And those ones are more like slushy style.
Sounds delicious.
We both agreed the blue milk is better.
Yes.
If you guys go and sample it, I would be curious who else would be voting for that. It's got a slightly more blue raspberry flavor, but only like just
there was
barely.
just a hint. It was like rice milk with just a hint of blue raspberry. We're trying to figure out how to.
And the green is kind of just a little bit more bland.
Yeah.
Oh, you can get the green milk with a
Toydarian twist.
swirl. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell you, just because something has nipples doesn't mean you should milk it, because that was so
I've got nipples,
nasty.
Greg. Can you milk me?
Yeah, so anyone who loves Mexican candies, the Toydarian swirl is mostly chili powder.
So what it was is it's the green milk, and you can see there's just this red kind of marbling through it with the way they do it. But yeah, the red is just chili powder. So it was a surprise and not a welcome one.
There you go, Ross.
Yeah.
I was literally, if you didn't say that, I was going to ask, but was it a welcome one?
There were also little like Jello bits in it. It was weird.
Depending on what time of the day it was served, really, because they just are making those mixtures fresh or something.
Yeah,
I just
it
want
was-
to try
it
one
was
of
weird.
everything.
Which we did.
Yes, we did.
And yeah, just that Toydarian one was interesting, but the rest were good.
Yeah.
Where
we
did you
should've-
get the Toydarian
We should have brought
thingy?
up the cups at the milk stand.
At the milk stand.
Yeah. It's in the first order portion
Okay.
of the park. The actual and the cups were actually decently sized. I was impressed. I thought they would be smaller. I mean, they're not like regular like cup you have in your house, but they're almost there. They're like the kid size that you get at restaurants.
Did you eat
Yeah.
anything at Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo?
We did.
Absolutely,
What
we
did you guys
did.
try?
Well, first off, I gotta mention that we had gotten a Black Spire Outpost cookbook for Christmas from
Courtesy of
Chris.
Chris.
Mostly
And
courtesy of my wife, let's be honest.
I had tried several of those recipes and looked.
What did you break, Ross?
We're good. No, I just dropped the holocron. Is all. The thing I just said, that might be kind of more fragile.
I had tried several of those recipes before we'd even gone to the park. Really, we had picked out things like that we maybe would like, but maybe didn't want to waste our money on at the park.
Yeah.
And then it turns out we get to the park and they had very few things in common, that cookbook and the park.
Well, we think it was a rotating menu, so a lot of the stuff in the cookbook just wasn't there. But the stuff that was on the menu is in the cookbook, or at least some of them anyway.
Surprisingly, one of our favorites was a vegetarian meal. I never would have expected that. It was a Felucian garden spread.
Kefta and hummus garden spread?
Yeah, it had vegetarian meatballs with a bunch of hummus and some pita and some salsa, and it was just so delicious.
It was actually really good, yeah.
Ross, what did you try?
I had the something pot roast.
Okay.
Fried
the
tibia.
Ithorian garden... No, wait. The Batuian beef pot roast?
Yes. That one was actually really good. Really, 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 really tender.
The fried tip-yip, I had that.
Okay.
Essentially, it's just fried chicken.
Andorian fried chicken tip-yip?
Yeah, it's fried chicken and mashed potatoes and vegetables.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
I would have assumed that was tri-tip steak.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, I'm looking at the pictures here. It does look pretty good. That Mustafarian cinnamon roll, holy crap, that looks delicious.
You know what? We wanted to get that, but it was only in the mornings, and so we were too late the second day. when we
Dang
thought
it,
about
Ross.
getting it. I
We
know.
tried an oi oi puff.
What did we send you there
Amazing.
for?
Oh yeah, the oi oi puff. That was good.
It was like a raspberry cream puff with. It was decorated in some green, like sponge cake that
Where was
looks
that
like
at? Oh, I see.
moss.
That was at the docking bay.
So yeah, it looks like you're eating a
Does
green
they-
moss
yeah,
cookie. It
picture.
was
They do
kind of weird.
not have a picture of that.
No.
Okay. What is moof juice? Did you get any of that?
We didn't.
I think moof is the green milk.
Was it?
Oh.
I think.
I don't think.
No. That one starts with a TH. That one.
There was a lot of other juice options available at
Yeah.
Docking Bay 7.
But they looked like fruit drinks.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I wasn't as interested because they weren't green or blue milk. Do we talk about the Falcon now?
We got to talk about the
Gotta
rides.
talk about the rides.
Ah, you guys, the only unfulfilled part for me about Galaxy's Edge was I did not get to pilot the Millennium Falcon.
I did. I got
Ross did. I got to be an
Of
engineer
the two of
3
you,
times.
though, I'd rather have Ross pilot it. I think that's more.
Kyler, that's
more
so
of his
biased.
It's knowing both of you. I think it would mean more to Ross than to you to get to pilot the Falcon.
Kyler.
Not that it doesn't mean
Don't
anything
even
to
go
you,
there.
but it means more to Ross.
How would you describe that one?
Oh my gosh, insane, super fast. So, okay, so here's how it goes. You've just waited in line for nearly an hour, and you finally get up to where they're separating you into groups of 6, right? For all the piloting stations, you get like 30 seconds in the kind of the staging area. After they divide you into groups, they send you into where the hollow chest table is with the curved couch, and they have all that set up and actually just like the movies. And so we got our pictures there, which is going to be a new Facebook profile picture if I do say so myself. And then like you get like 30 seconds there, and then all of a sudden they're calling your group, and they're taking you down the hallway to the cockpit. So you sit down, and it is you. Oh, I'm sorry. You walk up to just the front door behind the cockpit, and you get this little thing from Hondo saying, "Great,
We're borrowing the Falcon from Chewie.
yeah." Well, and we've already talked to Hondo once. Walking, actually, that's right. We need to start way back there. So the end of the line, before they divide you into groups, you're standing in this big room, and they have this animatronic Hondo standing there and talking to you. They have these screens around him, and then there is it's supposed to be a window, but it's actually just like a TV screen that they have, like an in-engine. I mean, it's actually the graphics of the Millennium Falcon ride. It's like they've taken the camera from that and have put it, and they're showing you stuff behind Hondo. And so you see on the displays behind him where the Falcon is sitting in the park, and it's just this little wireframe representation. And you see it lift up as he's talking to you and saying, "We need people to do this, we need pilots, and we need gunners." And you see it lift up, and then it flies overhead, and you get this rumble, and you can see on the screen behind him, the Falcon comes in and lands. And so then you walk through under these doors underneath Hondo to go board the Falcon.
Oh, cool.
So then they divide you up into these 6 groups. You get 30 seconds in the lounge area, and then you're in, and you get another little message from Hondo. This time it's actually portrayed by an actor in makeup. And you're standing on these little plates that have the position that you're going to do, and he's talking to you, and it's like, great. And if you have your phone on, and if you've been using the DataPad app,
Nice.
he remembers you if you've done it more than once. So the first time we went through, no one had done it before. And so he's like, oh, great, we have a whole crew of new pilots. Great, have fun. And then the second time we went in to do it, he's like, oh, we have some new pilots and some returning faces. Great. And I was like, wait a minute, that was different this time. Have any of the rest of you done it? I was saying to the other 4 that were with us, and none of them had. So it was just Carrie and I that it was reacting to, which was awesome. So anyway, you go through the door, and then it's just the cockpit of the Falcon. And you see, they've already have the thing running, so you can see this tunnel.
Does Jim Cummings do the voice in the recordings for Hondo?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's
yeah, it's the actual Hondo. Yeah, it's him.
That's great.
There are 2 pilots,
Right.
2 gunners, 2 engineers.
And they just
Engineers are in
hand
the
you
very
a
back.
card, and you just kind of get what you get. You do have, in that 30 seconds, a minute to try and trade if you wish. I didn't find anyone ever wanted to trade.
Someone
so...
in a different group we saw trade, but yeah, no one ever wanted
Well,
to
it
trade
was
with
like
us.
it was like a dad and his son. They traded.
I was
Anyway,
gonna say, like,
but-
I would trade with my kids.
Yeah.
You know, like if I got the pilot and one of them wanted to pilot or something, I'd be like, okay, whatever.
Now-
you know.
That's a little bit. That's one thing I want to talk about here. So, yeah, more on that in a second. So you sit down, they get you buckled in, and then you look at your console, and you'll have some of the buttons, and they'll be flashing green and have a little green border around them, and that's your startup sequence. You're supposed to hit the buttons, and that's you starting up the Falcon. And so Hondo is on the comms talking to you the whole time, and is like, "Hey, hit your buttons and let's go." And as soon as that last person hits their button, the Falcon jumps up off the pad, and you are flying through Black Spire Outpost, and it is insanely quick. Enough to the point that our first time through, there was a woman in the right pilot seat, which is controlling the up and down, and the left pilot is doing left and right. It totally freaked her out, and she was useless for the rest of the ride.
She was turning behind her to yell at the rest of us as the crew, going,
Yeah.
"I'm sorry."
And then she would look back and just cringe again. And so what happens is the pilots are actually trying to avoid stuff that's coming at you on through the viewport, right?
They're showing you the park as you're taking off too. So
Yeah.
I was impressed that because we did this ride during the day and the evening, they changed the lighting even to show
That's
that
really
you're
cool.
Yeah, it was a really
at
nice
the park.
touch. But so like our left pilot was fine, and so we avoided the spires on our way out. But was there a dip right at the beginning, and that was the first thing that hit? And anyway, so we started hitting ground. We're chasing down this train. We're hitting ground and the ceiling of this train tunnel because the girl on the right is not doing anything. And so
Oh, the mission is to steal some coaxium.
yes, and it's on these trains. So you're doing this train job
Right.
kind of like in Solo.
Anytime the Falcon gets hit or rubs up against stuff, the engineers then have to start pushing any green button that lights up to repair the Falcon.
Yeah. And then the gunners are sitting back. They're trying to blow holes in the train and also keep TIE fighters off you. Now, that's a little bit deceptive because the gunners, they can just look out the front viewport and be fine. There's you'll see stuff come on screen and you hit your button and it'll fire a laser and just hit. Well, and actually that's if it's on automatic. So I sit down, I'm the gunner the first time through, and I sit down and I can see there is a manual option and a automatic option. And I'm like, oh, what do I choose? And I'm looking at the controls, seeing how easy that's going to be to do it manually, because that was my thought. But if you don't choose quick enough, it'll just go and you're on automatic, which was fine. So I just got to hit the button and look out the front viewport. So the pilots are super important because if you can kind of stay level and avoid stuff, the ride is fairly smooth. There are certain points where it does kind of force you to hit things, like things will all of a sudden be in your way and you just can't react to it. But if you're not...
Gotta give those engineers something to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and it's also part of the story that things happen.
At the end of the ride, though, if you have captured 1 or 2 coaxiums, depending on how good your team is.
I think the top might have been 3. There might have been an option for a third.
Really? We just were
But
in
I'm
terrible
not sure.
teams?
We were never good enough. Yeah.
Anyone else who goes on this ride, let us know.
So it's 6 people per ride.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys need to come with us again.
Yeah.
And we did go on this one 4 times.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
But the point I keep trying to get to in a long-winded way is that if your pilots aren't good and they're hitting a lot of stuff, you will get nauseous on this ride, because I started to.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah.
and that's even after my years and years of gaming experience.
Wow.
But
Hondo then racks up your tally at the end that, you get paid for this coaxium, but he's also taking off the damages you did to
Well,
the ship.
of course he is.
So
Also, if
they
you're a
give you a
gunner-
payout
Okay
for
to tear his
that.
arms off.
if you're a gunner and you fire too many times, he will dock you. So that was my thing, is because I was just laying on the
Spamming it,
button,
yeah.
and so at the end, your little display that's at your station gives you this readout of your score, and I was like, it was like negative 1,050 or something for me for from my total credits.
Which they do give you those credits digitally in the app if you have the app open while you're riding the ride.
And I've heard that you can actually spend that money like in the park somewhere.
It's still in the app. It's not actually in the park, so it's just part of its own little game.
Okay.
So I mean, it's
So what do you get from it then?
nothing really. I mean, there was just like as you
Digital things.
Yeah. Like when you load up the app, you have a little avatar that has like a costume on and stuff, and you can like
Buy costumes.
buy a costume or two, and just it's just the app is mostly for you to spend time doing during the line for the rides. So I mean there was an achievement for getting over 10,000 credits, which I got after doing the Falcon a couple of times. But it's really nothing too terribly mind-blowing. It'll also chew up your battery. So if you go and you play it, take battery packs, because we spent a lot of our time trying to find
Gonk
Gotcha.
droids.
an outlet.
Oh,
Luckily, we
do
took
they
our-
have gonk droids that are like...
Sadly, no. I really wish
Well-
they were.
Boy, that seems like a missed
I
opportunity.
know. There are gonk droids in the park, and you can see that they are connected, powering like the displays. But as far as actual power, no, they're just regular plugs.
That's a real missed opportunity. Just have
Yeah.
gonk droids like around with like a couple of
Right?
like
Like charging
10
stations, yeah.
like 10 plugs,
Yeah.
in them or something.
Um,
Boy, somebody should have. I can't believe they did. Like of all the details they went to, they didn't think of that. That's crazy.
yeah. Well, and you know what? There weren't a lot of public plugs for us to plug into.
We had to. You really have to look for them, and they
Yeah.
cover them with stuff so it looks, on theme.
I was gonna say
So we were-
I've got a portable charging pack. I'd probably just take with me. And,
You'll
need
want
to
a
take
few of them.
several.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's
Yeah.
we would enter the park at 100% battery, and then a couple hours later, we were in the single digits. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's just opening the app for
Well,
a
I
little bit
mean,
during the
that's
lines.
my
but-
phone is.
And I mean, enough.
My
to
phone
point
has
that
been sitting off to the side while we've been speaking here. It was at 30% when we sat down. It is now at 16.
That's akin to what it was doing to my phone.
It's kind of what mine is. When we first started the episode, I was at like 44%. I really haven't had it open.
Yeah, I haven't
really.
done anything with it.
Like I was looking at some news stuff at the beginning of the episode. Yeah, it's at 26%.
Man, you guys need new phones.
Yep.
Well, mine's all paid off though, so that's
Yeah,
nice.
no, I understand. Anyway,
I'm curious to see how long I can make one last.
Yep.
I really, really liked that, with the exception of the one guy Ross was buying die-cast fighters from. Everyone stayed in character so well. So some of the workers even, like we were in a shop, I overheard two workers talking to each other. Not even any patrons. Oh, they call everyone a traveler, by the way. Not even any travelers. And I'm overhearing these two women talk to each other, and one of them saying like, oh, and when I was like a youngling, this is how I did my hair. And I'm just so impressed that they were so in depth. They were in the park, so they were saying
That's what
in
I've heard
character.
is that Disney basically recruited the best of
Yeah.
their own employees, and then they still had to audition, and then they only took like the best of those, So
which is why I was so
succeed.
surprised that the one rebellion dude
Broke.
and like it wasn't even like I tried to force him to break. He just started talking to me, but
There
of course,
were
he
other
was an older guy, so maybe he just wasn't as into it.
maybe
Whatever.
maybe. There was other times too where like the stormtroopers. The stormtroopers were just they'd patrol around the park, and I can't believe there's evil kids out there, but some kids are wearing stormtrooper outfits, and they'd pause for a minute at these stormtrooper kids, and the kids react like they're in super trouble, like they're super scared, and the stormtroopers are just like, you there, when your patrol's done, head to base, and like continue on with their patrol. And it was just like the little kid's like so scared, but then he puts his mask back on and just like nods and salutes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And they did so many interactions like that where Chewie stopped to see this
Yeah.
little girl who had a Chewie doll, and he was just playing with her, and it was just super adorable. And I was trying to point this out to Ross, who was busy on a phone call with Kyler.
Yeah, Kyler had just happened to call as we caught this interaction.
And Chewie could clearly tell that I'm like trying to like get a picture with him in the background, with kind of squeezing Ross into the picture unbeknownst to Ross a little bit because he was busy on the phone.
Yeah.
So Chewie then, when he was done playing with this little girl, sneaks up behind Ross, starts sniffing the back of his neck for a little while
And
without
I
Ross
had-
noticing.
I had no idea, that this was going on.
And
I'm on the phone and I can hear Carrie in the background being like, Ross, there's Chewie,
And then he suddenly growls, and then he had your attention.
Yes.
Yeah. It was really funny because Ross was like, oh my gosh, Kyler, it's Chewie.
Okay, I'm just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden there's this growl, and it's just like, oh, fetch! It's right there behind me.
We saw him repeat that technique several
Yes.
times during
Well,
our
the
time
cool
at the
part
park.
of that is I'm on the phone with Ross, and then Ross is like, oh, wait, here, say hi to my friend on the phone. And so I'm just like, oh, wait, I get to talk to Chewie. And he's like, doing his Chewie noises, and I'm like, I'm talking to Chewie, it's so cool.
Okay, guys, those were the worst Wookiee impressions.
I know,
ever.
I'm sorry.
Like,
I didn't have a lot of spit in the back of my throat to, really.
True.
there, that's better.
Anytime you did catch them for a picture, their response was usually something like, oh, fine, you can do an image capture with your data pad.
That's fantastic.
There was a Rey wandering around every once in a while, too.
We only saw her once or twice, I think.
More often you saw Vi. And once again, if you've read the book Black Spire, there's a Resistance spy who's coming to set up a Resistance base at this outpost.
At the outpost, yeah.
And you can see her because she's got on a big old jacket
An
and
orange
bluish
pilot's
hair.
jacket, yeah.
Or purplish hair. And so she's constantly sneaking around the park, and anytime the stormtroopers come by, she will book it. She just, even if she's like holding the kid's hand, she'll drop that kid's hand and run.
Yeah.
So she'll kind of like teach the kids how to start hiding too, and like
So,
she gets them really involved.
We're standing by the power outlet that we liked once, and Carrie goes into the bathroom that was just behind the outlet, and I'm just standing there charging a phone, and Vi comes by with these two kids, and they're like totally doing the Kronk thing along the opposite wall, right? Just like shimmying along it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren. I almost called him Kyler Ren. Freudian slip. He shows up and walks around with the stormtrooper several times, and at one point he saw someone who'd bought a recreation of Kylo Ren's
his
lightsaber,
lightsaber, yeah.
and he pauses, goes out of his way to like walk up to that guy in the crowd and go, that saber looks well with you.
Yeah,
Like,
it suits him. Yeah, and then he walks off again.
yeah.
But yeah, he would walk around and he would like grill kids like, do you know where the Resistance people are? And like the kids, of course, terrified. And most of them would say no. But there was one that I saw who was like, yeah, and like ran off, and Kylo Ren wandered off after him.
It's like, yeah, let me show you where the good guys are. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this is an evil
Yeah.
kid.
Yes.
So, and what was also cool is that they would kind
His
of
hate has made him powerful.
stick to their areas. So you have on the west, you have the Resistance area, then the Smuggler area is in the middle. And
Smugglers
then-
are like the Millennium Falcon and Chewie.
Yeah. And then, well, he's Resistance. He'll come out of the Resistance side. But then on the east side is the First Order. And so you'd have Stormtroopers and Kylo Ren going from the First Order side through the Smuggler area. And you'd have Resistance people coming from the Resistance side going through the Smuggler area. And so occasionally they would kind of cross paths. And you would see, like, if the Stormtroopers caught sight of Vi, like, they would totally, like spread out and try and flank her. And she'd
Quick
run off.
after her,
And,
yeah.
I never saw how that ended up resolving, but
Oh, that'd be awesome.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure she hides, they lose her, but
I would totally ambulance chase that.
I thought about it, but we were kind of tired from walking at the time.
Yeah, I bet.
I'd pin her down and be like, here she is!
Pretty sure they'd prefer you did not do that with the Pathfinders.
Yeah, moments later, I'm ejected from the park.
For real, yeah. The last ride or experience that we had, I guess we need to talk about the market too, but it's not as long. The market's awesome, just this little curved area walking into kind of underneath the docking bay 47, and they have a big like pod racer engine doing the Ronto wraps and stuff.
About a dozen really tiny little shops.
Yeah. And that's where we got most of the stuff. One we didn't talk about is our little Porg here that has a little magnetic base that people were wearing around. So it comes with these two little pieces, and you stick this one. It's basically just a little metal plate
you stick that
wrapped
under
in.
your shoulder.
Stick it under your shirt, and then the Porg is magnetized on top of it, so you have a
So
Porg.
you can ride on your shoulder.
It's actually
pretty
pretty
solid,
decent.
yeah.
I was a
Pretty
little bit
good,
nervous.
actually. You can shake that around pretty well.
I was a little nervous wandering around the park with it, so we didn't end up doing that, but other people were.
Yeah.
It's sitting on its shoulder.
worst.
Porg on my shoulder.
It's the worst. Stop it. Shove that lightsaber through your face.
Yes, I have taught you well.
I'll have a lot of pictures of the shops up on the Facebook group. There were a couple of little awesome displays too. That,
We didn't get a Kowakian monkey lizard, but they
No,
do
we
have a
didn't.
shop where you can adopt those as well.
Cool.
They're
Cook them?
hideous. There were not any cooked ones. That surprised me.
Oh.
Yeah. There were other porgs, there were puffer pigs, there was a cool loth cat in a cage that was animatronic that would actually move around as you walked up to it.
They have a booth of just traditional looking toys that looked like they're made to look like they're all like hand carved.
Yeah.
Such as the Jin Ursa when she's playing with the Stormtrooper doll. So they have like recreations of that one
there are
that just
several like
look
that,
like
yeah.
that sort of
It's
traditional
almost like Disney
style.
designed their movies with that sort of merchandising in mind.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
But they also had things like Chance Cubes, Watto's Chance Cubes, which I
AKA
bought
dice.
2 packs of. One for me and one as a giveaway for the podcast in the future, and we decide what to do.
There you go.
They
I
also
love that
had-
you guys will have a game of chance probably to decide who gets the chance cubes.
Yes.
That's a good
Maybe we
idea.
should
We
use
need
the
to theme it
chance
that way.
cubes to decide.
Sabak.
who gets
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So now we got the Han Solo card game last year.
Which we lovingly call not sabak.
Not Sabak.
Yes.
It has
I dominated Ross and Carrie in that game.
Yes, he did.
Just killed him.
the game is pretty much the same. I think there were some differences, but the thing that was really nice about this is that it now actually has the face cards. So if you buy the Han Solo card game, you don't get a complete Sabak deck, but this one that we got from one of the shops was complete.
Nice.
So-
And when our feet got tired, because we were on our feet for between 11 and 14 hours, depending on which day we
Yeah,
were
we
there,
did 11 hours the first day, 14 the second.
we would just pause
That's a
and
day.
and we'd pause and play some sabak.
Yeah. Part of the reason why our second day was so much longer than the first was because we were waiting for Rise of the Resistance, which was in and of itself a whole ordeal. So,
So I will just say that these sabak dice are this is the type of dice that Han has hanging in
yes,
Millennium
from
Falcon.
the
They are
from the
sabak
mirror.
dice.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, and they did have Millennium Falcon
Golden
window
dice.
with the gold dice hangers there as well, which we did not pick up.
Yeah.
So, Rise of the Resistance. It's a whole thing. So, the first day we went, we tried to get our boarding passes for the ride.
It's the
because
only way
it's
you can ride the ride.
It's still so popular that, yeah, they are keeping everyone... I mean, they tell you when to show up at the ride, right?
Yeah.
So we get there, and we had heard that within the first 5 minutes of the park opening in the morning, those things would be sold out. So we made sure that we were in line in the park. We didn't realize how long it would take to get through security and get to the park. But we were in line right as the park was opening.
We can confirm that it was sold out within that 5 minutes.
Yes.
Whereas the second day, it was sold out within 60 seconds.
Yes. So the second day, we were made sure to be there early to make sure that we were through the line and actually physically having walked into the park before 8. We were actually in the park looking at the Walt and then Mickey statue 10 minutes before 8. Because they will let you in downtown Disney beforehand. So they also let us start to walk through about 7 minutes before 8. And so we actually started walking towards Star Wars Land. And I'm looking at my phone, looking at the time, and so when it rolls over to 8 o'clock, we know.
There.
We're all on the app hitting
Yeah.
join a boarding party, join a boarding party.
So-
and you start to hear people throughout the park succeed and they're all
Yeah.
cheering.
So 8 o'clock hits, and both me and Carrie start just mashing buttons on our phone. Carrie immediately gets rejected, right? Oh no! And
Because
with
it was
me,
sold out that quick.
yeah, it
And
was
Because they
full
knew
that
how evil
fast.
she was.
And so I hit the button, and then I hit the join boarding group or whatever, the last button you need to hit, and then it gives me this little error at the bottom of the screen and a retry button. And I'm like, fetch. So I hit retry and it does it again. I hit retry and it does it again. So I did it 3 or 4 times, and then it finally gave me a boarding group, and we were boarding group 73 of. Well, I don't even know how many.
So if
we
it
got to.
rejected Carrie, how did you both get in there?
You can tell it how many people are in your boarding party. So
Yes.
that's how I was able to go with Ross. Their fine print on that does say that they only will guarantee boarding groups 1 through 72 to actually get a ride.
Yeah.
So where we were 73, it was like, this
not
is
only
getting
that,
nerve-wracking.
They're still having trouble with the ride because it's still so new, and so it's breaking down a lot.
There's
still.
a lot of moving parts with it, so I understand why it's breaking down.
And so on the first day, they started boarding people immediately, but on the day that we actually got our boarding passes, they didn't start boarding people until a couple hours later.
Yeah, they were delayed for 3 or 4 hours at least.
I was pretty nervous, but we did eventually end up getting in. So we get our boarding group. They let us in. You go through this big archway that has like a rebellion turret on it, like you would see on Hoth, the big round-headed ones. And then you're in another line. And that line also takes an hour, which was disappointing, especially after a long day, but whatever. They have some cool displays.
So what
You're
time
going
did you
through
actually get
this temple.
in then?
We made it to that ride closer to 8 o'clock. Oh, 8 o'clock is when we got in the hour-long line.
Yeah. Yeah, so we didn't get on the ride until 9-ish. And
Yeah.
we were in
PM.
the park. Yeah.
Yes.
We were in the park at 8 a.m. So we were there the whole entire time.
Wow.
Actually, so it must
Does
have
it?
been...
Can you get on the app and it's like now serving boarding
Yes.
party 43 or whatever?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, that's what I was watching all day to know that it had started late. Anyway, they have some cool displays, and like you walk through and they've dressed it up real nice so it looks like an old existing temple that they've just cut through. So you know how on Echo Base, like a lot of the walls had those gouges along the sides? You'll see tunnels like that, and then all of a sudden it'll kind of open up into a room that has like benches that were cut into the stone. So it was a really cool mix of like old and new type stuff. But then you'd walk through and there's also cases of like pilot's gear and weapons. And it was funny because we get to this one case and I'm looking at the guns in there and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I liked that gun in Battlefront 1. That was a good gun. And then I walk over to the next case and I was like, oh yeah, I like that one too. And so they actually got some good, Canon replicas of stuff sitting in there. Anyway, so we get in, we finally get to the front of the line.
Oh, I'm also going to clarify for whoever goes on this ride. They advertise it as an 18-minute ride. Just know that you're only actually seated for about 5 minutes of this ride. The rest of it, you are not like a meet and greet with Imperial First Order officers, but you interact with some of them.
Let's tell them. So we finally get to the front of the line, and they divide you up into groups that are, appropriate for the carts. And they'll take you into this other room, and you start getting this message from Poe. It's like, I'm sorry, it's BB-8 is sitting up there first.
BB-8 and Rey talk to you first.
Yes.
A hologram of
Hologram.
Rey. Hologram, thank
of
you.
Rey. They actually, it's a legit hologram they've got sitting there, an in-air hologram,
cool.
So it wasn't like a TV screen.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Poe gets on a TV and starts talking to us as the
I'm
boarding
in.
group.
Because they're providing escort.
And guess what, Kyler? Poe said we were a good-looking bunch of recruits. Poe thinks we're good-looking.
Those are words I need to hear in my life.
That's right. And so they give you this little briefing. They're like, oh, the base isn't safe anymore, so we're all fleeing, right?
We're all headed to this base.
Yeah,
and then
a Star Destroyer is on its way. We got to get out now. So another door opens up and you're outside again. And there is another X-Wing sitting there. It's Poe's black X-Wing. Actually, in story, it's an X-Wing that looks like Poe's because this is post Rise of...
right.
Post-Last Jedi.
Post-Last Jedi.
They have people running to and fro like they are working at a real landing bay. So you have a feel like you're in a resistance base.
Yeah. And they have this new kind of shuttle sitting there, and you walk in, it's this big side door of the ship that you walk in, and there's an animatronic of another Mon Calamari sitting there. And he's like the captain or the general. Really good, actually.
Really
surprisingly good. You can still tell they're animatronics, but like way better than anything else I've ever seen.
Cool.
And then there's actually in the cockpit, I think it's 9 Num, that you see the back of his head. And in front of him, what would be the viewport is another view screen that they have of the park. And so you get in there and it's all just standing, and so you have just these handholds. And everyone gets in, and you take off, and you can see you're flying over the park and out into space, and
your shuttle is moving.
Yeah, it's on its little things like the Millennium Falcon ride is. And then, of course, as it has to, the First Order shows up. That Star Destroyer pops in, and you're immediately hit with the tractor beam. And so Poe is on these other view screens like, oh, we'll come back for you, stay strong, don't tell them where the base is, whatever you do, don't tell them where the base is.
And the
they
Admiral Beck,
hyperspace out.
the calamari general in our ship, is like, well, we did at the beginning of the ride tell you guys where our next base was. You're about to get interrogated. Don't give in.
Yeah. And so...
Good luck.
Did anybody give in?
Well, hold on. So,
Tyler will. I can just see it now.
Pick me, I know!
And so you boarded the ride through these one doors, and you can see that there are other cargo doors on the other side. And so as you get pulled in, and you can see yourself getting tractor beamed into the hangar bay, like you can see the little like blue force field thing go over the ship. And it sets you down, and everyone's kind of like getting ready to go out the second door, right? Thinking that's where the ride continues. And all of a sudden the door behind you opens up, and this First Order troop wanders in, and it's all of a sudden you're just in this hangar bay. The door that you walked through off Batu is now this hangar bay, which that was the thing that blew my mind, was that I have no idea. It had to have pivoted, right? Or maybe even, it could have even lowered, now that I think about it. That's probably what it did.
Maybe.
Anyway, but yeah, the door you walk through is now the hangar bay. And so you walk out, and this guy comes in, is like grilling you, is like, you're on a ship that's been known to do things for the resistance, so you're all under arrest, blah, 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 blah. We're now going to interrogate you. And so you all walk out, and there's all these stormtroopers standing there.
Oh, that's amazing, though. They walk you into a room that's full of 50 stormtroopers staring you down, all standing at attention, probably because they're mannequins.
Yes.
But I was still intimidated.
It was pretty cool. And so you wander through, and then you stand in another line, which, again, as awesome as that first little bit was again a little bit like, oh, okay, another little line. But that one goes quick, because they'll take you into smaller groups now.
Interrogation groups, they called it.
Yes. And so they'll come in and they'll be like, okay, you guys stand here on these lines, and, and someone comes up and he gives his little spiel of, the First Order will triumph over all, sort of thing. Our guy forgot his lines at a couple points, which I felt bad for, but he kind of recovered well enough. But anyway, so then they send you up the hallway a little bit, and you have to stand on these colored spots, and another, guy comes out, and he's walking up and down the line, like, trying to intimidate people. I don't remember what he did to most of the people. Because he'll just walk up and down. And they've got the 12 of you sitting there, and he'll say something to someone, and he'll walk a couple more and say something to someone else. So he goes up the line and comes back down, and I was standing kind of at the head of the line, and he stops and he looks at me, and I'm waiting for him to say something, but he just stares, and so I stare back, and he keeps staring.
Drop it, yeah.
And I keep staring. And he keeps staring, and I keep staring. We go on this for
and then Ross is like,
You didn't.
no, like
You didn't
Poe.
say. You didn't say. So who talks first?
Exactly.
oh, dang, I should have. Fetch.
Missed opportunity. We're going to have to go back.
But no, after
This weekend.
we've gone for however long, I can start to hear people that are just like, oh man, they're doing this. They're still going, And then finally I can see the guy, his eyes flutter and he blinks. But I just keep going, and so he kind of keeps going back, right? As if, he's still trying to be cool. And I'm still just staring, just going. And he finally gives up again, and he goes, the shifty eyes make you look guilty, and he walks off because I was looking at either one of his eyes as we were staring at each other. And then they then put you in this other room, and there's a view screen behind you. And there's this stormtrooper standing there, and Hux comes up, and Kylo comes up, and they're like, we're about to interrogate you all. More First Order is, mighty, and resistance is futile, that sort of thing. But then Kylo and Hux walk off, and there's just that stormtrooper standing there looking at you. And it's funny, because, it's just a little thing of him just kind of standing there waiting, like, what's going on? Other people should be here to do the interrogations, and he's getting bored. You're all standing there. Yeah. And then after a minute, I forget what happens, and he wanders off, the stormtrooper. And so it's just you guys standing in this interrogation cell, and all of a sudden you start hearing like hissing and thunking sounds. And I was standing too close to the wall, and what I couldn't see was actually the wall was being burned away just a little bit down from me. And so they have this really cool like thing where they're actually projecting, like, it's like they're using a projector to project what would actually be happening, so it looks like it's red and glowing, which I don't know where the light came from, actually, now that I think about it, where they were projecting from. But anyway, so they cut, this hole gets cut through the wall, and a couple of these resistance fighters pop out, and they're like, hey, we're getting out of here, come on, guys. And then they have these two carts that are being driven by hacked droids sitting there, and they divide your group of 12 into these two carts, so you have 6 and 6 in each. And then we're waiting for the ride to go, and the one resistance fighter's talking to us, and is like, okay, also, we're not really sure, we hacked this one quite well enough, so do any of you know hacking? And then this one girl's like, yeah, me. And she's like, yeah, okay, if something goes wrong, it's up to you to fix it. And they're just sitting there talking to us.
Yeah, it was, did anyone read their droid manual? And one lady volunteers and says yes.
So she was the one. But then the ride starts, and all of a sudden it starts driving you down this thing. And they tell you that the plan is they're going to go down a couple hallways to the turbo lifts that will get you down to the escape pods, and we're going to go back to Batu, right? So, of course, you go down these couple hallways, and you get to the turbo lifts, and there's stormtroopers standing there. So the droids freak out. They start shooting at you. And they do the same like projection thing again, like blaster bolts are whizzing by you, and like
You're seeing blaster bolts go off around
Yeah.
you as your droid is trying to steer your cart to get away from it.
And they're hitting walls, and so you're getting sparks and flashing off of walls, and so the droids are starting to speed through
that is a lot of
through
moving
the Star
parts.
Destroyer. Yeah,
As the carts are weaving you in and out of legs of nearly full-size AT-ATs.
I think they're about half size. The people are saying they're life size, but us going through them, like our cart that was, I guess actually it must have been 8 people per cart because there were 4 across. They would just barely fit between the feet of these AT-ATs. And so you think a snow speeder is going to be bigger than that. They're probably about half size, but they're still massive, right? And so you're going between the feet of those, and these carts, they're not on any sort of track. They're independently controlled. And so, like, they're spinning you around. I spent most of the ride going backwards.
Is that disorienting?
It wasn't too bad because there's so much going on kind of on all sides of you. You have stuff to focus on.
There's something to look at everywhere you
Yeah.
go.
And so you're going through the thing, and eventually you hit this room, and Kylo Ren is standing there. He's intercepted you. And he's starting to like use the Force, and he's pulling your carts around, and he's pulling you closer, and all of a sudden there's an explosion behind him, and the bulkhead falls away into space, and so they somehow got this wind tunnel going where now it's coming behind you and through where he was.
So
And,
it feels like you're about to get sucked out of the ship.
and then he gets like some plates fall in the way, and so the atmosphere is restored, but you're still rolling around. You go into another room, and then you get this lightsaber pops down through the ceiling, and it's Kylo Ren trying to cut through the ceiling to get to you. You eventually make your way down to the turbo lifts, and you do find the escape pods. And so the droid comes in and parks in the escape pod, and the screen in front of you shows an escape pod across the way, and that little Mon Calamari general is across from you. It's like, okay, great, you made it, let's go. And you see him hit his button, and the escape pod just drops, and it gives you this. It pauses there for a second, and all of us are kind of going, "Oh!" And we all start to kind of brace, and then it drops us, and then it's just like the Falcon ride, where as you're coming back into Batuu, like you're zooming through the outpost, and then you come to this big skidding stop on the ground, and the droids pull out the carts, and there's some other resistance people standing there like, great, you made it. Look out, because the First Order's probably looking for you, so lay low. And you come out, and you see the other Calamari's escape pod sitting there. They have another animatronic sitting in an escape pod as you drive by it. And then you're back in the park. And,
That's cool.
And they had this whole... I was noticing they did have this big curved piece of metal in the park I thought was a hangar, but it's actually the wreckage of the stuff that you have just landed in, you know?
Cool.
So, I mean, everything was super, super well done. Like, everything looked fantastic. So, but...
Man.
Yeah, it was a trip.
That sure sounds like it. Man, that's awesome.
Is that everything we wanted to talk about?
I
think we went through
think
everything.
so.
So that was our trip to Galaxy's Edge.
You have a couple of books here.
Oh. Yeah, Carrie,
got
talk about those.
Something to know for people going to this. We did spend the majority of our time, like 99% of our time, in Galaxy's Edge. But if you go to Tomorrowland, they do have some Star Wars merchandise available there.
So that's where this one came from.
Okay, the children's book.
The kids' book, yeah.
Obi-123.
Yeah, Obi-123 Galactic Basic Edition. So it's numbers 1 through 20 with little rhymes and cute pictures and stuff.
And it does spell the numbers with some Arubish numbers. Did you catch that?
I did not.
Oh, see?
Well, oh yeah. Oh, cool.
Anyway, so I got cute things like that because I have the sequel ABC 3PO.
Yeah. So, and there's also, Carrie also got a journal here from Doc Ondar's shop that's really, the cover is super ornate
It's
and carved.
I think you need Lilu to help you open that book. Right?
Is that a Fifth Element reference?
It is a Fifth Element reference.
It does look like
She
that.
is the
There
fifth
are 5
element.
elements.
It does.
I got more of an Avatar: The Last Airbender vibe from it, but yeah, I can see Lilu there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's meant to look like one of the ancient Jedi texts. That it does have the alphabet on the front page in some kind of ancient Jedi writing that down the spine I figured out then spells wisdom, which really appeals to my inner Ravenclaw.
I wonder if we should take the key that's in here and take a look at the one page opened in Last Jedi.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Do it. do it.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that till just now.
We're gonna do it now.
Yeah. So, everything was awesome. I mean,
Everything was awesome.
perfect trip. It could not have gone better for us. We got to do everything we wanted to do. Got all sorts of,
Was everything cool when you're part of a team?
gifts coming home. Yes, the Resistance team.
The resistance
They
team.
need to make one where you get to be on the first order, though.
I know, right? It should be like part laser tag where you're gunning down like rebel soldiers with like.
I'm getting very frustrated because every shot misses.
I was
Pick
gonna
up
say,
your guns, fire as much as you want. You're not going to hit any.
I was going to say, yeah, that might be a little violent for, a kids-focused park, but no, that fits. That tracks. So, are there any other questions you guys can think of that we didn't talk about you wanted to know?
I'm assuming with these lightsabers that they only have the straight hilts right now, right? There's
Correct.
no curved hilts.
Yeah. Oh, I meant to
Can
ask about that
connect
when we
to
were in the
another
park.
hilt to
now
make
that
it
I think.
double-weighted.
That'd be so cool.
Nope, you're going to have to go to other retailers for that sort of thing. But, there are some issues with the lightsabers I should tell you about. Some people have been having trouble with the two middle sleeve pieces where they'll kind of come loose. And like the rest of everything else will still be tight, like the two cap pieces in the middle will be tight, but mine has that problem. I have found online on YouTube that you can just go buy a large washer and stick it in there, and the guy on the YouTube video says it works just fine. Also, the blade is just a little bit loose in there. You can feel it kind of have a little bit of give. Apparently, a little bit of the one thing I read said 2 layers of Scotch tape would work. I think 1 layer of electrical tape would probably work. I just haven't tried it yet to secure those. But
Okay, real quick, one thing I do have to share, speaking of all the lightsaber talk. After getting back from the park, we get back home. Ross went out of his way to use his lightsaber for everything.
Yes.
When he needs a night light, he turns it on and
Yes.
carries it around the house to go get himself a glass of water
see,
in the
and that
dark
was the other
kitchen.
thing I noticed.
That makes perfect sense to me.
in the
I said
In
game,
the show. I mean,
Yeah.
in the game
That's
Jedi
true.
Fallen Order, you have a little bit of light when you're just walking around normally, but there are parts when you have to raise your saber and it lights up more. It really does that.
That makes perfect sense to me. That's totally logical. So
Sending him to check and make sure the front door is locked.
Yes.
He's going to go take that with him. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was just laughing at you on the inside a bit.
No, on the outside too.
That
I
too.
heard it. Also, your lightsabers will sing to you occasionally. Carrie's
do.
saber would randomly make noises, like without being touched, without even being on. The real story is that means the batteries are low. So,
But it was cooler to think that it was speaking to me.
calling to
It
you.
was
calling to you,
truly
yeah.
connected to me.
yep. So, that
Well, there you
is
go.
the full experience of Galaxy's Edge.
without actually being there.
Yeah.
So everybody go. If you've gone, let us know. If you're going to go, let us know. When you go, let us know.
If you want to take us, let us know.
Yeah, I will go with you. I will accept that burden and take one for the team and go to Galaxy's Edge. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at More Civilized. Join the Facebook group there. And follow us on Twitter at More Civilized. That way you can be sure to see all of Ross's myriad of pictures and whatnot from Galaxy's Edge.
So, speaking of joining the Facebook group, that's where you'll find such awesome things as the post by our good friend Stephen Boswell from a little while ago, who posted the meme. It has all of the Jedi Masters
Oh, yeah.
standing on it, and the caption on it reads, "Ayla, I know it's your first day, but we do have a dress code."
Shows all the Jedi in their Jedi robes, then there's Ayla Secura in her tight pants and a sports bra.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just...
She is a Twi'lek.
That's true. That's what I picture for, Best Body?
And you can speak with me on Twitter at Random Paladin.
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at Itinerant Baxter, and you can find my author website, writerinthehat.com, where you can find some of my writing and links to more of it.
I also just wanted to say hello to Abinadi and just be like, hey, man, thanks for listening. You're awesome.
Double shout out.
Double shout out. And a final shout out to, I'm going to butcher this, Xerxo G. Penalta in Spain, our Spanish listener.
In España.
In España. Yep, exactly. So, I'm sure I butchered your first name. Really sorry about that.
May the force be with you.
Always!
I'm Anna Graves, and thank you for listening to a more civilized podcast.
I realize it's been a while, and he said it made him feel really good whenever we give him a shout out. So I was like, dang it, this episode, I'm going to give Abinadi a shout out.
So that's a shout-outy shout-out from Kyler.
And you are the fetching worst.
And going, oh, they could have gone here and here and da-da-da-da-da. And before I knew it, I was like, oh, crap. I'm writing fan fiction. Oh, I despise myself right now. And the worst part is it's so good. It's so much better than that.
Anyway, we actually need more seconds of silence, please.
Okay, there's one.
Where's my saber? Here, hand me
Hold
that.
on. We need another one.
Okay. Oh, right, we're starting.
We're all waiting on you, man.
Podcast.
It's been so long.
It really
Long,
feels like
dark
it's been
weeks
so long
since we
now.
did this. It has been a
It
while.
kind of has, yeah.
It's been 3 weeks. That's a long
Well,
time.
hello, dear listeners, gentle, sweet, beloved listeners.
Start that again so we can get a clean start.
My enthusiasm's
You
gone.
tried to talk over Chris. How am I supposed to edit that?